So the word that comes up for me tonight is patterns. All of experience are these patterns that are all interconnected. Um, so depending on our perspective, in any given moment, we could be over here, or over here, or over there, but we're not. At the same time, we're everywhere. So all these patterns of experience or form meaning seeing, touching, feeling, thinking, experiencing, looking at, making judgments about, etc., from the point of view of this one little speck that you call me. But this little speck that you call me is not all of you. That's just a little speck. Now, it's a big speck when it's a troubling speck. This little point of reference is huge when we're suffering. So this, what ails us, war, anger, hatred, judgment, selfishness, greed, corruption, on and on and on, all comes from this little speck. So everything is related to everything else. So there's no getting away from it. So when someone is suffering over here or creating chaos from their little point of view, we feel it too. It's inevitable. Recently, I've been talking about rise above it. So form is emptiness, and emptiness in this sense, we're referring to nothing exists outside of everything else and is independent and separate. So it's empty. It has no permanence. That includes, of course, mind. We don't know. We really don't know what there is. In fact, from this little speck, we don't see actually what is really going on. So in the Heart Sutra that we just read, it says form is emptiness and emptiness is form. So thank you very much. Enjoy your tea. Not being identified with all of our stuff doesn't mean we don't have to deal with it. It's still there. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. So even though this is just this tiny speck in the grand, gigantic scheme of things, which we're all part of, we can't be separate from. Yet we feel separate. We feel tiny. We feel not capable. We feel scared. We have all these things from that perspective. So this is why form is emptiness. If you can grasp, understand from a point of view of wisdom that this isn't who you are, this tiny speck, that it's empty, that gives you tremendous ability to walk in this life in form without creating more suffering. It's trying to explain the unexplainable is the problem I'm having. You can't really explain it. I can't tell you what it is. That's why in Zen we say the only kind of thing that we adhere to is direct experience. That's why I say drink your tea. That's direct experience. You don't know what the tea tastes like unless you drink it. So that's the emptiness's form. So our sitting practice, as we're watching our breath come and go, this is that empty form, empty form, empty form, circle. That's why Zen has a circle. You can talk about it so many different ways. Oh. The other night you were talking about heart mind. Heart mind is empty form, empty form. It's that balanced view of experiencing it all and yet having compassion for those limitations that we experience being in this body. So our way is the way of compassion and wisdom and not adhering to the idea of I, me, and mine. What's really difficult about this practice is that most people, they don't want to have anything to do with this. They want to build their wealth. They want to build their relationship. They want to sell you something. They want to be more powerful than you, on and on and on from that tiny little speck that they are. They're projecting what they think the world should be instead of living in the world as it is. So we all have a different experience. So we all need help. In other words, are always places that each of us have blind spots that we can't see. So as a community, a true community, not a made up community because we're all in the same gang, nothing infuriates me more than people insinuating that we should be in a particular gang or another, or religion, or ethnic group, or whatever. You see, from the point of view of non-duality or emptiness, there is no male, female, black, white, religious, Jewish, Christian. That's all bullshit. From the point of view of we're all in this together. Those are projections, those are ideas that we use to explain what this is. But what we're explaining doesn't exist. It's not real. What's real is heart, mind, compassion, recognizing other suffering, doing what you can to help from the point of view of I, me, and mine is not who I am. So this is the Bodhisattva path. They say this is Mahayana Zen. This is not about just becoming enlightened will and screw the rest. When I look deeply at myself and I see all the turns, the choices I've made, which have created these patterns, getting back to the idea of patterns. Our lives are patterns. And there are things and patterns in our lives that we should undo, that we don't need any longer, and we let them go. And that's, I think, our practice, sitting and meditating continuously, letting go of patterns that we no longer need so that we can be fresh in the moment and really experience what we're doing. One of the things that I've said this before, but I think it's important that we don't realize how much we're in our heads, how much we are imagining life instead of actually living life. Our imaginations are rich. I think that's wonderful as long as you're not attached to it. So I can sit here and daydream like the rest of you. How much of your meditation tonight was daydreaming? How much were you thinking about your trip, for example? You know, so we try to clean up our act, right? That's part of the Eightfold Path and precepts and all those things that Buddha taught. Those are all about cleaning up our act, so our patterns that we're creating are less intrusive and terrible for ourselves and everyone else. However, as soon as you think you're right and my way or the highway, you lost it. As soon as you identify and you hold on, it's no longer correct. So correct action, correct thinking, correct livelihood, all these things, this Eightfold Path, it has to be coming from the place of wisdom, not from the point of view of I, me, and mine, because it doesn't work that way. So here we are, just a few of us. But we're not alone. All the great sages throughout time, it was only a few of them. It was never the hordes. The hordes were always creating the chaos. So don't expect the hordes. From the point of view of the universal, it's all there. And it's all connected and it's all related and it's all interacting all the time, no matter what you think about it, no matter how you view it, doesn't matter, actually. Our stupidity is just our stupidity. So I could rant because there's a lot to rant about these days, right? There's a lot of things that are just not right. Good.
You reminded me of a quote from Carl Sagan when the Voyager was on its way out to deep space and it took a photo of the Earth and he called it Pale Blue Dot. He said something like, there we are, all of every mother, child, lover, supreme leader, our gross domestic products, all of it is right there in a speck of dust suspended in a sunbeam. That has always stuck with me because when you look at that picture, it's like, yeah, we really are just specks of nothing, but everything too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. It was a good sit. Hopefully see you again. Be great if you could come again. Same with the rest of you.